The Thunderbolts are the latest MCU team, so let's rank all the members. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm ranking the Thunderbolts. There are, I believe, 6 or 7 members, depending on how you want to look at it, and I am ranking all of them. I'll explain when we get into this thing. But before I get into it, hit that like button, comment down below your ranking of the Thunderbolts members, who's your favorite or least favorite, and of course, subscribe into that notification bell to help reach my goal of 150,000 subscribers here on the channel. I mean, quite a bit. And I want to make it clear there could be some mild spoilers for Thunderbolts that pop up in this video. You've been warned. So in dead last for me, comfortably, is going to be Taskmaster. The reason being is she's not really even a Thunderbolt. They mismarketed her. They were like, oh yeah, she's a Thunderbolt. She had her own character poster. They inserted her into images in the movie via trailers that she's not actually even in. So there was a lot of trickery at play with this character because, spoiler alert, she dies pretty quickly in the movie and maybe has a minute or two of screen time, so she's a goner. She's not even on the squad. She doesn't make it past the initial meetup. She gets shot in the head by Ghost. Boom, she's gone. She's not even in the movie. So she doesn't serve a role, and even if we're looking at her character in the Black Widow film, the first time we see her, she was one of the weakest parts of that movie. They really didn't handle Taskmaster well. So easily, Taskmaster's at the bottom of this list. It feels weird and wrong to even discuss this character because, like I said, they're not in the movie all that much. They're not even a Thunderbolt officially, but based on the marketing and this little cereal box, they are, so she's last by a lot. Next, we've got Ghost. This character was the main villain of Ant-Man and the Wasp, a movie that came out in 2018, actually between Infinity War and Endgame. That movie's post-credit scene was hype. The movie itself, fine, somewhat forgettable, fun enough, though. When it comes to Ghost, she was a fine villain, and so to bring her back all these years later, this is the first time we've seen her in the MCU since then. Did Thunderbolts really warrant having Ghost back? I'm not sure. I'll say that her powers come in handy when the group finds themselves in some sticky situations. She's able to like get them out of some tough spots. But other than that, as an actual character, she doesn't provide much. It's not like she's the comedic relief or any of that. She's just there. And, you know, I feel like that her physical skill set comes into play. Other than that, her character has no real reason for being there. They don't explore her past or trauma. Granted, they kind of already did that in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but there's no depth to her character. She doesn't have any real arc, doesn't really change much from beginning to end. She's kind of just another body to fill out this roster. And I get it, they wanted to have more characters in the film, but Ghost doesn't serve a real purpose outside of her powers and skill set, so unfortunately, she's pretty low on this list. Next up is John Walker, or U.S. Agent, if you will, and he's called Junior Varsity Captain America in this film, so I call him the JV Cap as well. First time we see this character is in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, creates an interesting dynamic there, the public perception of Captain America especially, and, you know, his issues internally. He kills a man in cold blood, essentially, right? In the 4th episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that's referenced in this movie. And so John Walker, he's a mess mentally. He's got some at-home issues as well that this film explores, like his home life and the set of circumstances he's put himself into, so he's got some issues, it's safe to say. Now, he still has his moments to shine in this movie. He's got some skills he gets to show off. He's a bit of a hothead, sort of irrational at times, you know, acting before really thinking about decisions, and he's quick to maybe jump the gun, but he does have some moments, like I said. His back and forth with the character Bob made for some of the best comedy in the film. Like, he's got an ongoing bit where he calls him Bob or Bobby, and that was always funny. Outside of that, it's not like he's that different of a person from when we saw him in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Again, he's got his moments to shine. He's got some cool combat moments when he's taken down some people in the dark or, you know, fighting the other Thunderbolts early on in the movie when they're all framed to fight each other. But outside of that, John Walker's just another one of those members who isn't explored as much as others. But I would say the character that he has the most memorable scenes with is Bob, and Bob is actually next on the list. We got our boy Bob, aka Sentry, aka The Void. He's multiple people, all right? And this character has some serious demons to deal with, okay? On the one hand, he's Bob. He's sort of aloof. He doesn't really know exactly what's going on, but he wants to do the right thing, be a hero, and help out the other Thunderbolts. But he also gets loopholed into this whole situation with Val, where she wants to use him as this god figure, superhero, essentially, because there's no Avengers around, so we've got Sentry now, right? And then you've got the dark side of Bob, which is the Void. We see him come out later in the film, and essentially this character wants to strip the world of any hope and let the darkness take over. It's very much representative of a mental health crisis, depression, regrets, all that jazz thrown into the character Void, and in many ways, that version of him is a physical manifestation of the mature themes on display in the film, so kudos to them for pulling that off, but this character, like I said, a lot to deal with inside. Louis Pullman plays, all these versions of the character really well, and Bob is the one that we see the most of. I didn't expect to have as much Bob as we did going into this movie. I knew that he was a prominent part of the marketing, but he is one of the members by the end of this film, and I couldn't help but kind of fall in love with the character over the course of the movie because of how likable he is. He's this shy guy, very soft-spoken, like I said. You can't help but, root for him and feel for him in the situation he's put in. So Bob really ended up being kind of a scene stealer, and that's why he is fairly high on this list, but above him, I've got Red Guardian, baby. Without a doubt, Red Guardian is the comedic relief of the group. He's played by David Harbour, and it's no secret. You guys know I love me some Stranger Things. He's Hopper. Hopper's my favorite character in that show, and so to see him shine here in the MCU, it brings me nothing but joy. He's hilarious and lovable in Black Widow, and that carries over directly into Thunderbolts. I mean, Red Guardian's the man. He's responsible for delivering on some of the biggest laughs this film has to offer with just his over-the-top antics and persona. David Harbour crushes the line deliveries. I mean, this guy rocks, but the father-daughter dynamic with him and Yelena is really a strong suit of his character. He has one scene near the third act of the film where they have this heart-to-heart, and it was really inspiring and uplifting, and that scene sticks out because yes, he's got these funny lines and these moments you'll remember where he's like screaming or doing something over the top, but the heart-to-heart softer moments with his character are really the ones that you remember the most. I hope we get more of David Harbour in the MCU forever. I'm rooting for it, especially if it's scenes with Yelena, who I will talk about later in this video. But yeah, Red Guardian's the man. He's hilarious here. His limo service is sick. For the glory. My runner-up is going to be Bucky Barnes, who is a veteran of the MCU at this point, right? We've seen this character go through a journey, starting back in Captain America: The First Avenger, one of the first movies in the MCU. So Sebastian Stan's Bucky, been around quite some time. That's why he is a veteran of the MCU. This time around, we kind of get to see him be like a full-on hero the entire time. We don't explore much of his backstory because, guess what? We've seen it plenty in the MCU. We know all about his traumatic past, being the Winter Soldier, going through years of suffering and mental turmoil, so it's nice to see him away from that for a bit and getting to be the full-on hero. They let them be cool as hell in this movie. Like, he's a badass. He steals the show multiple times, specifically the action sequence in like the middle of the movie when he pulls up on the motorcycle and just takes out like some Humvee Jeeps. Like, that was awesome. While I still think he's underused a little bit here, they nailed the character when it mattered most. He goes from, congressman to helping out the Thunderbolts just like that. He is a leader naturally, and he's just got so many moments where you're like, this guy rocks. And I am down for this version of Bucky moving forward, especially in Doomsday, as teased, maybe not, in the post-credits scene. He debuts a new look at one point, maybe the best he's looked in the MCU, and all around, he's just really awesome in this film. I've always liked Bucky, but it's nice that he, in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, was freed of the Winter Soldier persona and those demons, and he's got that scene, I believe it's the beginning of episode 4, where he's like crying by the fire as he's freed. Those words, the trigger words, they don't hold the weight or power they used to. Great acting there from Sebastian, and then he comes back in this movie, and he's one of the leader figures of this team, just being a badass, you gotta love him, and he is the runner-up. But the number one member of the Thunderbolts for me in this film has to be Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh. She is the star of this movie. It is her story, essentially, and we open with her, we end with her. It's Yelena's movie in many ways. The character's in a dark place. We see that from the opening, and the exploration of her really traumatic past is on full display through some of the flashbacks with the Void, where we see like the first test she has when she's, a part of the Red Room, is like luring out another one of the girls who's like young to get shot and killed. So she's done some messed up things, and she really has to wrestle with that internally throughout this movie, her past, her demons, and we see she's been in the dumps, like really dark place before, and so her depression, her mental health struggle is, again, something that this film tackles in a mature way that gets dark at times. But over the course of the movie, she's able to accept some of those past decisions she's made and embrace the person she's become. Like I said earlier, her dynamic with Red Guardian's a highlight. I would love to see more of them in any way, shape, or form in the MCU because they have a great banter back and forth, but also a familial connection that pulls on the heartstrings. On top of that, Florence Pugh plays the character very, very well. She's badass, naturally, can kick some ass, much like her sister Natasha, but She's charming, charismatic, even has a great sense of humor and sarcasm that makes for some really funny moments. And to me, her role in this film and just seeing her in Thunderbolts in this squad really solidified her as probably the best new addition to the MCU post-Endgame in terms of characters. I think Shang-Chi's up there, Red Guardian's up there, but Yelena, to me, we've seen her now in 3 projects, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and of course, Thunderbolts. She's had this journey over the course of those 3 projects, and she's changed for better. I really do adore this character, and I want more of her. I want more of Yelena in the MCU. Her and Bucky are kind of like the co-leaders of this squad in my mind, and that's evidenced in the post-credit scene. I won't say how, but you know what I mean. So to me, Yelena is the best character in this film, and give me more of the Thunderbolts, or dare I say, their new name that you see in the post-credit scene, and we'll be getting more of that in Doomsday. I cannot wait. But that's just my ranking of the Thunderbolts members. Let me know yours in the comments down below and hit that like button, subscribe to that notification bell, and be on the lookout for more videos coming very soon. But thank you guys, as always, for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.